Men, if you're ready to reclaim your edge, listen up. I used to be held back by constant bathroom trips, with multiple wake-ups during my sleep and looking for restrooms whenever I was out. Then I discovered Better Man. After just 2 months, I started experiencing fewer trips to the bathroom, less urge to go, and I even slept through some nights. I feel a noticeable boost in my overall well-being, even sexual stamina. It gives me the freedom and confidence to live life on my terms. Better Man is clinically tested and trusted by thousands of men over 25 years. Ready to take back control? Go to BeBetterNow.com to order your supply today. That's BeBetterNow.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed. Individual results may vary.
I trust you.
All right. Welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. So today we have just baseball games to recap, but we are still going to be making an announcement for the Milwaukee Bucks as far as we are going to cover their offseason. So we're going to hit the intro, and then we're going to get started.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
All right. So new intro, new us. Not really. New intro, same us, but spiced up the intro a little bit. And so Jake and I talked about it, like we said last week, after the Bucks season was ended kind of abruptly. We want to be as thorough as possible with covering the Milwaukee Bucks off season because there's a lot of outside noise concerning the Milwaukee Bucks, and too much of it is being taken at surface level as like the Bucks have no picks, the Bucks have no money, the Bucks are stuck with this guy, that guy, Giannis wants out. You should trade him while you can to rebuild. So much outside noise. So we want to be the most thorough off-season coverage that you can find, unless you were actually working for the team. Like that's how thorough we want to be. So our Milwaukee Bucks off-season schedule is as follows, and we're going to start. It's kind of fun because next Wednesday we're only going to do a single segment, and it's going to be called Giannis Isn't Getting Traded, and Jake and I each have 7 teams that we are going to present a trade package and just really show you how outlandish we would actually have to see of a trade offer to even consider trading Giannis. And I'm telling you, when I say outlandish, like anything you can think of that we would consider, multiply it by 4.
Yeah, it's honestly for us and for the Bucks organization, there's going to be some real feelings that are involved with Giannis.
Yeah,
like he grew up here. They got a new stadium because of him. He brought a title here after a 50-year drought. I mean, there's going to be some feelings behind some of this stuff.
Yep.
Horst Incorporated, a really good player when he got Giannis. So, I mean, it's not just going to be pace this guy, and throw a couple first-round picks at him, and teams think that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
All these Twitter people who are putting all these trades out there really are going to be in for a reality check when they see what it's really going to take. And me and you were talking about this yesterday, and you brought up a good point. Want to make sure I give you your credit. Paul George got traded for 4 first-round picks, and Shea.
I
mean, that's not small. And then you think about Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges got traded for 5 first-round picks. So I mean,
McCall.
That's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. Considering we're talking about Giannis, who is considered by many a top 15 player in the NBA history already.
Yeah, I would say he's top 20 for sure, and he's top 3 right now. You're not getting him for 2 expiring contracts and 4 first-round picks. That's not happening.
Yep.
So we're going to illustrate like what it would actually take if we were in the Bucks front office, and yeah, it's going to have some homerism baked into it. I promise you that, but it's also the best player in franchise history and a top 3 player right now. So like I said, it's going to take more than a couple expiring contracts, maybe 1 young player and some picks to get Giannis. Like Jake just said, Mikal Bridges went for 5 first-round picks. Paul George went for an MVP and 4 first-round picks. Andrew said basically the entire Boston Big Three or two of the Big Three, 3 championship banners and the rights to Larry Bird for Giannis. Yeah.
I got some pretty petty stuff I'm going to say next week as well, Andrew.
Yeah. The lead of that segment is going to be Giannis isn't getting traded.
Yes.
That's where it is. Anybody that is calling the Bucks about Giannis, as soon as they mention the name, like John Horst is hanging up the phone.
Yep.
So that's that. The following week, the 21st, we are going to go through the Bucks financial situation. There's too many people that don't understand what's going on with the Bucks financials. They just hear somebody say that the Bucks have no money, and that's not true. The Bucks, the part of the Kyle Kuzma and Chris Middleton trade was to get the Milwaukee Bucks under the second apron. That gives them a lot of flexibility this summer. Also, we're going to go through the free agents, guys with player options, and where the Bucks stand with draft picks. So that's going to be on the 21st.
Yep.
Then on the 28th, we are going to go through what the Bucks staff in an ideal world looks like to us, and what the roster construction looks like to us. So the week before, we will have gone through all the free agents, the player options, discussed what we would like to see done there, and then discuss the following week on the 28th, how we would like to see the Bucks construct the roster. We're not going to give these specific, players and names, but we were going to go through the potential staff that we would like to see, and then how we would like to see the roster constructed, not necessarily the names we would like to see on the roster. Then the following Wednesday, that will be June 4th, that is when we are going to give our specific potential additions, transactions that we would like to see, and discuss some potential options that the Bucks have with their cap space, with their picks, with the potential staff that we would envision bringing in. So we are, like I said, over the next 4 weeks, we're going to be very, very thorough on where the Bucks stand in their offseason. We're kind of taking some inspiration with how we've done our Packers off seasons over the last couple of years, and want to have that informative of an off-season discussion as it relates to the Bucks when the new league year starts at the end of June.
So I mean, obviously we're going to
have all of June, and we'll put them all together,
Yep.
and you'll have a 4-week section full of segments that tell you everything you need to know about the Bucks and what they can potentially do with their offseason.
Something that I'm just kind of thinking out loud about. I'd like to have us go through, what bird rights means, because and I'm not trying to sound condescending or anything, but some people might not know what that means with bird rights and second apron and stuff.
People do know, we can always refresh it.
Yeah, we can just put that up there for people to understand, because I will say for a couple of years there, when I was, I was always into the Bucks. I was always really into it, but I couldn't understand the bird rights and the aprons, and there's a lot to unpack kind of with the NBA salary cap.
Yeah,
baseball gets this is going to tie perfectly into a transition into the Brewers. If you guys have never heard about the MLB draft, there's literally not a stoppage to the MLB. There used to not be a stoppage to the MLB draft. Now there's 20 rounds. And I actually just learned about this about 2 months ago. But there was actually an MLB draft back in 1981 or whatever. There was a 100-round MLB draft. They drafted 3,000 people. They were going to war or something, bro. It's freaking insane. But, it's just different for every league. So if we could put that verbiage out there so people can understand it, also giving you a deep dive into how the Bucks can manage some of that stuff, I think that'd be good for everybody. We are here to educate, so that's what we're going to do.
Okay, so I didn't have this on the graphic for the week, but we do have the third game of the White Sox series. I totally even forgot about it because of the fact that I just had pretty much written it off. Looking at the first inning for the Brewers against the White Sox, this would have been last Wednesday evening. The Brewers went walk, fly out, walk, fly out, walk, fly out, including Rhys Hoskins being robbed of a home run, and that kind of just set the tone for that game. Chad Patrick was really good for 5 2/3 innings, and the game spiraled from that. The sweep would have been nice, but we take series wins, and this is going to sound extremely similar when we get to today's game.
Yeah.
My other takeaways from last Wednesday against the White Sox, Caleb Durbin is a legit third baseman. Sal Frelick made a really nice diving catch. Jackson Chourio showed great range in center field. And the big thing that I took away from I was listening to this game on the radio, Jeff Levering made a great point that center field can be a boost of becoming an alpha for Jackson Chourio for the Brewers. And we had this conversation one time when a ball kind of fell into the no man's land of two outfielders and Bryce Terang. And I said the center fielder, which was Garrett Mitchell, needs to just kind of be the selfish one to take that call and be basically the shortstop of the outfield and be the one to say, all right, I'm going to take the ball because everybody's kind of just watching it. And now Jackson Chourio is being put in that role. So I'm interested to see how much center field playing time he gets as Blake Perkins and Garrett Mitchell get back. But it's good to see that, and I wanted to give Jeff Levering credit for throwing that out there.
Yeah, Jeff Levering, by the way, he's fantastic.
Yeah,
he's really, really good. He was, you could tell when he first started a couple years ago that he was kind of, just getting his feet wet, but now he's like really comfortable in his role, and he's really good. Him and Bill Schroeder together, phenomenal.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's a little sad to me. Kind of like, when they started doing it with Uke, where Bill Schroeder doesn't travel as much. We only get Bill Schroeder at home usually, but I really enjoy listening to Bill Schroeder because, the age that we are, we grew up listening to Bill Schroeder our entire lives, talking about Brewers baseball. So I kind of equate Bill Schroeder with Brewers as well whenever I hear his name. But those two together, I just got to give them their flowers. They are fantastic. Maybe that could be some potential star guests that we can maybe have on the show one day. That would be fantastic. Maybe with the Brewers on a long road trip or something, we could try to hit up Bill Schroeder or something like that. See if you want to talk some Brewers baseball. But going to the game, Patrick getting for 5 2/3. I mean, he's getting a little bit deeper in these games, but walks have been a problem for him this start and his previous start. You add these two together, he had 7 walks together between those 2 starts. Piamps, 4 pitches. He was really good in the third of an inning. I like seeing him become a tool in the bullpen again. We're going to have a discussion here in a little bit. We were talking during a game, and there's a guy that is clearly the best bullpen pitcher right now, and we're talking about Nick Mears. We're going to have a conversation about him later. Yep. But I will say Trevor McGill is starting to come around. He's starting to look like last year's Trevor McGill more and more lately, so that's a good sign for us. As the Brewers get healthier in the starting pitching, the bullpen starts to get a little bit more rest and not have to be in so many high leverage situations every single day. I mean, maybe in every other day would be a little sigh of relief for them. But we'll have some conversations about the offense here real quick. It was a 1-0 game through 5 innings. The Brewers offense had 2 hits, 2 walks, and 5 Ks through those 5 innings. And after that 5th inning, the White Sox kind of broke it open. So really what I was looking for in this one is were the Brewers getting some better at-bats. Chourio, he lined out in the 6th. Frelick, 1 pitch, lined out in the 6th. And they made the White Sox pitchers throw 12 pitches. In the 7th, they also only made them throw 12 pitches. They had 2 Ks. They had a 2-out walk, and then the next pitch grounded out. In the 8th inning, only 11 pitches. In the 9th inning, they were kind of waving the white flag at that point. Only made the White Sox throw 6 pitches. So I would say overall they were laying off a little bit of stuff. But I still want to see them do the little things, take close pitches, work on some mechanical stuff, especially in 8-0 games. So that's what I tried to take away. I tried to put a positive spin on even an 8-0 game. There's still stuff to work on because baseball is such a long season. I don't know if I can stress that enough. It's such a long season that even on days like this, there's stuff that you could work on that can make you successful later. So.
Alrighty, so we can stick with the Chicago teams and start with game 1 against Chicago. And I wanted to give you credit because you were concerned with Quinn Priester after his first bad start. Mm-hmm. And I said I wanted to see another start. And now after this game, he had 2 bad starts, and his lows, in my opinion, were lower than his highs were higher. Yeah. So his floor was lower than his ceiling was high. Mm-hmm. He did in that game still generate 13 whiffs, so I did still have some hope for him, and I have some very informative stuff about him as it relates to today's game when we get to that point. I did last week mention that I'd be interested in sending down Tyler Alexander and getting Elvis Peguero back. I'm still very much interested in that. He did pitch 2/3 scoreless today, but it is what it is. Tobias Myers got an inning of relief work after being taken out early on Wednesday's game. Pat Murphy basically pulled him for not throwing strikes.
Yep.
So we've seen now Caleb Durbin, Sal Frelick, and Tobias Myers pulled from games for not performing.
Yeah.
So Pat Murphy's not screwing around. He does not care who it is. Like, if you are screwing around, he will pull you.
Yeah, you got to give that tough love.
Yeah. And again, we have more good news coming. So that said, the Brewers had 5 hits, 1 each by Sal and Terang, who after this game, Terang was batting .315 and Sal was batting .307. We talked about this after we got off last week's show, and we're like, hey, we're not talking enough about how high these guys' batting average are. So here we are mentioning it. It's something that everybody can find, but it's not being talked about enough. So allow us to start talking about the fact that both Sal and Terang are batting over 300 a month into the season.
I like it.
And then my other thing, Jake Bauers. So Jake Bauers has pitched 4 games this season. He has a 0.00 ERA. Does anybody think it's because he's a great dominant pitcher?
No.
No. It's because he puts the ball in the strike zone. The ball being put in play is a factor. Now, Jake just brought up walks as a potential issue with Chad Patrick. It's something that we look at a lot when you're putting potentially unnecessary traffic. I get kind of like unintentionally walking guys to not deal with some big hitters.
Yeah.
But Jake Bauers doesn't have a 0.00 ERA because he's got great stuff where he throws 100 miles an hour. It's because he puts the ball in the zone and just throws strikes, quote unquote strikes, but just putting the ball in the strike zone. We talk about all the time how great baseball hitters fail 70% of the time. Just put the ball. If they swing 7 times out of 10, they're going to make an out. So that I just wanted to bring up as a saying something about putting the ball in the strike zone.
Yeah.
So that's game 1. What did you take away from that one?
Yeah, so I had some thoughts about Priester too. I saw a lot of people talking about the overpay in the trade, and I wanted to say, was it an overpay? Probably. We won't really know for a few years
Right.
because the prospects that the Brewers had to give away. We'll find out. If they turn out good, we could deem it in 3 years that it was an overpay. But in the situation that the Brewers are in right now, they're in a rare and really kind of shitty situation. I'm not going to mince words about this. With how many injuries they've had with the starting pitching, how many injuries they've had with outfielders. I mean, for the Brewers to be 500 after today's loss, they took 2 out of 3 from the Astros. So people can calm down. They took 2 out of 3. They have an off day tomorrow, a well-deserved off day before they start a road trip.
Yep.
For them to be at 500 with everything that's going on this season is impressive to me. I'm not going to listen to anybody on Twitter or Facebook tell me differently. Now, the other thing I wrote down about Priester is I feel like he's kind of overthrowing a little bit. And I feel like he yanks some stuff every once in a while. And he has a really good slider. He has a good fastball, which you were giving credit before. I'm going to give credit to Bill Schroeder again. He was talking about pitches in baseball, and he said the fastball is still the best pitch in baseball. He's got to be able to locate it.
Right.
And
that's what makes Quintana so good.
Right. Priester has a good fastball, has good movement, has good miles per hour. He has that good slider. You could be a 2-pitch pitcher and mix it up a little bit. You know, with our pitching lab and our catchers, they can mix it up enough where those 2 pitches will be dominant for you if you just locate the fastball.
Trevor McGill, Devin Williams, Josh Hader.
Literally. And Priester, I think Priester is going to be the guy that's going to go to long relief when Woody comes back. A lot of people are saying that they're probably going to send him down, but I can see him going into a long relief role because he does have good stuff. and he'll probably hold down the role for an Aaron Ashby or a DL Hall until one of those guys comes back. But with that being said, I mean, the Brewers obviously 0 for 5 runners in scoring position. They had 5 total hits. The offense really didn't get going, and that is the name of this game. That's all I had on that. That the last 2 games going up to Friday night, we're just like, okay, we're gonna come back. We're gonna score some runs tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's where we get to game 2, where Quintana's last outing, he had 6 strikeouts, and they were all looking. Then we get to the game 2 against the Cubs, and he's facing one of his former teams, and he had 2 strikeouts. He finished with 6, and this game he had matched his earned runs after allowing the 6 strikeouts matched his earned runs. He had 6 earned runs after only allowing 3 earned runs in his first 4 starts.
Yeah.
So I understand, losing to the Cubs sucks because they're annoying. But we were comparing him to CC Sabathia for 4 starts.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't go out the window after one bad one.
Yep.
You're talking 20% of his starts have been bad, and the other 80% have been CC Sabathia level.
I mean, I'll take that every day.
I'll take 4 Cy Young level starts and a stinker. Like, if we're talking about winning 80% of games when guys pitch, like what are we talking about here?
Right.
It's just like the thing when we talk about, like, just win series.
Yep.
If you win 2 out of 3 every time, you win 104 games.
That's a lot of games.
That's a lot of games. The Brewers did end their scoreless inning streak at 21 with the 2-out hits by Jackson Churio and Bryce Durang and a Rhys Hoskins solo home run in the 5th, and then they were retired 14 straight after that. 17 batters in order. Just kind of tough if you add in the 9th inning when there was a single and then a ground into a double play. So the final 17 batters were retired in order after that, so kind of started a new streak, not an ideal one. In the last 3 games, the 3rd game of the White Sox series and the first 2 of the Cubs series, the Brewers allowed 24 runs. Just got to kind of crumple those 3 up and toss them. At the end of the year, when we're talking about a 162-game season, and you're talking nobody's going to look back and be like, yeah, those 3 games broke the back.
Right.
Like, yes, you get to a game at the end of the season and you say all games matter, but these 3 don't matter any more than the next 3. They all matter in their own, percentage of the season, but each game is less than 1% of the season. So we're talking about 3 games. We're talking about like less than 3% of the season.
Yep.
So it's easy to make up for it. And again, I don't give a shit about run differential. I do not care.
Yeah.
So that does not matter. Like you talk about the White Sox series, they lost the final game 8-0. I will take an 8-0 loss if it means 2 wins out of 3 games. Don't care. Don't care how bad the loss is. I care about winning more than I care about run differential.
I agree.
In the good news department, from game 2 against the Cubs, the bullpen was very good. Abner Uribe, Nick Mears, Grant Anderson, and Elvin Rodriguez faced just 2 over the minimum in the 4 innings that they pitched. Also, we got a bunch of updates on Brandon Woodruff, DL Hall, Aaron Ashby, and Connor Thomas all had positive injury updates and all could be back by the end of May. Sounds like there's going to be some rehab involved in this, so they're not all likely going to be back in Milwaukee by the end of May, but they're all going to be pitching by the end of May, making rehab appearances, and some of them, Brandon Woodruff for sure, will be back with the Major League Ball Club before the end of May. Okay, so what did you have from game 2 against the Cubs?
So something that I took away is you were talking about the bullpen. That's the first thing I wanted to talk about is the bullpen did a nice job getting ahead in counts. So 2 out of 3 batters that Uribe faced, he threw a first pitch strike. 2 out of 3 that Mears faced, first pitch strike. 3 out of 4 that Anderson faced, first pitch strike. And 2 out of 4 that Rodriguez faced, first pitch strike. So pretty weird how that works when you put yourself in an advantageous situation. You could be successful. And I wanted to say this because the bullpen after this game, the pitching staff overall, I should say, was really good at getting ahead in counts and taking advantage of it. So I saw that changing here. It went on to lead to a 3-game winning streak, as we know. We're going to cover those games shortly here. But wanted to talk about The Brewers, like you said, the Brewers scored in the third and the fourth inning. Churio 1 for 4, 1 run. His one hit was a double. It was a first pitch four-seam fastball right down the middle that he crushed. And Terang 2 for 3 with an RBI, single in the third. Tied the game at 1. It was a cutter down Main Street and a 2-1 count. And I know we've had discussions about the difference as a hitter between 1 and 2 counts and 2-1 counts. You have brought that up in the past as well. So, yeah, obviously they had to throw Terang a strike. You mentioned Terang's high average this year. He's been phenomenal. We are going to be getting him back for this weekend series, in my opinion. Him and South Florida. So I'm not stressing about nothing because neither of them have long injuries. Terang, they're literally just giving him rest because he was sick.
Yep.
But Terang didn't miss, so good on him to get the RBI, his 16th of the year. And you mentioned Hoskins' home run. He was 1 for 3, 1 run, 1 RBI. Obviously, the solo shot. He also crushed a 92-mile-per-hour four-seam fastball. So maybe stop throwing 92-mile-per-hour four-seam fastballs down the middle of the plate and you won't get hurt. But he hit it 393 feet, his 4th homer of the year. The Brewers, 1-for-1 runners in scoring position. So they were percentage-wise phenomenal, opportunity-wise not phenomenal. I would like to see that number get raised here. Need to start putting some traffic on the base pads.
Yeah, we've talked about stacking traffic.
Yep.
As we go into the third game of the Cubs series, the first thing that I want to say, and we've had this conversation before on many different teams, many different times. First things first, we hope Shota Imanaga is okay.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want him to have like a long-term, like a torn hamstring or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like the Cubs, but we still want their players healthy. Like, their players are still people. And when we talk about rivalry and we talk about competition, you want to beat your other team when they're at their best so they don't have excuses. It's the year 2025 and people are still talking about the Bucks and Nets series and, if Harden and Kyrie were healthy, like, no, fuck all that. I don't want to even have that be something that people are bringing up. So we want our opponents to be healthy. We want them to beat them when they're at their best. And we want people to be healthy because that's what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, going into this, top of the second inning, we get a walk that should have been a strikeout, and then he gets awarded obstruction when Rhys Hoskins' foot was in front of the bag but not blocking it. So my thing is, apparently, if there's ever an obstruction call in a Brewers game, just assume that it's going to go against the Brewers.
Yeah.
Because there was multiple calls last year. We talked about the judge call last week when Jackson Churio had a ball thrown that hit his hand, even though he couldn't see it, was called out for obstruction. But Aaron Judge, looking at a baseball, ball hits his hand. He's not called for obstruction. Then last year we have a play similar to this one where the Cardinal had a blocking a base.
Mm-hmm.
And the call goes against the Brewers. And then this time, Rhys Hoskins' foot was in front of the bag. However, it was straight. Not blocking the bag. Justin, welcome back. And my thing with that is that his foot was in front of the bag, not blocking the bag. The runner still had the opportunity to get his hand on first base on either side of Rhys Hoskins' foot. So and the rule is that the throw can carry you into the base path, into the runner's path. These rules are not at all clear. And so far, the 4 examples that are at the front of mind are 4 for 4 going against the Brewers.
Well, you got to think about the play at the plate today. The game that happened today, we gave up a run because we're not allowed to block the plate.
And
I have I have some thoughts on that inning, so we'll talk about that.
We'll discuss that.
Yeah.
In the third game of the Cubs series, Sal Frelick was replaced in the top of the 4th after fouling a ball off his leg. He also said his cleat got caught a little bit and it twisted his knee a little bit. He had 2, I think he said meniscus surgeries when he was in college, and he just had some swelling in his knee. At the time, he was only expected to miss 1 to 2 days. We know now that he's supposed to be back on Friday for the start of the Rays series. Now, this did open the door for Daz Cameron to come in, get his first hit as a Brewer with an RBI single. Got his first hit, his first RBI, and his first stolen base as a Brewer, all with his dad, former Brewer Mike Cameron, in the stands. So just a really cool moment. And then the other thing is, I understand that Shota Imanaga pitches to this, but the Brewers had a shit ton of deep flyouts to the warning track.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking on a warm day with a little bit of a breeze, that's how the Brewers put 7 runs on Shota Imanaga last summer.
That was fun.
That was fun. So if the Brewers face Imanaga again this season, and it's warm out, I think the Brewers can do some damage to Imanaga.
I agree.
All right, what did you take away from the third game of the Cubs series?
So I really wanted to talk about 2 things. First of all, Yelly ended his 0 for 19 streak, so hell yeah. Then also wanted to talk about Freddie Peralta. Dude, I was fighting saying Willie right there. I was fighting myself. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 earned runs, 7 Ks. We're gonna start the All-Star Freddie chants right now because he has been dominant to start this year. 4-2 on the year. That's tied for 8th. For wins, he has a 2.18 ERA. That is 10th. He has 48 strikeouts. That is tied for 13th, and he has a 1.04 WHIP, which is 20th, which is really, really good, by the way, in terms of WHIP. So Freddie Peralta has been as good as advertised. Hopefully he can keep it going. Quintana, his next start, he can get back on track. We get Brandon Woodruff back. There is no reason why the Brewers can't go on a run in June and July. Zero reason why.
Yep.
Now, I'm not expecting Brandon Woodruff to just be the guy that was 5th in Cy Young in 2021, the first couple of starts. He's probably going to have – I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you, he's going to have a start where he probably gets knocked around a little bit.
And I probably wouldn't expect him to go more than 5 innings, maybe 6 before the All-Star break. I would not expect him to be going more than 6 innings after the All-Star break. The official date we don't have yet, Justin, but he did make his what was perceived to be his final rehab start last night.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say probably Monday, because it sounds like with the day off they're going to push everybody back.
Okay.
So right now I think Freddie is slated to start Sunday, which would be the 5 days.
Okay.
So I'm gonna guess Monday, Justin.
Okay. That makes sense to me. On top of that, Koenig looked really good in this one. Obviously, the Brewers had a shutout, so nobody gave up a run. So all the pitchers looked very good. Uribe, dude, I love Abner Uribe so much, dude. I have some stuff I'm going to talk about in a couple of games from now, but he throws so many goddamn fuck you fastballs, dude. He really does, dude. Like,
he really can. Like, I was looking up, I've been looking up reliever stats, and he's got like one of the best fastball velocities in baseball as far as relievers are concerned.
He just
like his fastball value it's like top 5.
Yeah, he just.
And then on top of that, he throws a slider that moves like 84 inches.
Yeah,
and he made some dudes look stupid in the Astros series.
He sure did. And Trevor McGill also looked really good. 1 hit, 2 Ks, and had to get him some work. So Brewers end up taking 1 from the Cubs. They have this weird thing where they don't get swept, and they also don't sweep people. They're just like, either you're taking 2 or we're taking 2, so you pick.
Well, they had last year. They didn't lose 4 games in a row at all.
I know. I don't know if they're going to do that this year.
It happened once so far.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how long it's going to take for them to sweep somebody, dude. Have they swept anybody yet? I don't think they have swept anybody yet. They only take 2 out of 3 from everybody, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They've had 2 chances.
Okay.
To sweep
Obviously, to start the season, they lost a few in a row. So it is what it is. That was a long time ago now. But, taking 1 from the Cubs, we'll take it and got us on the right track.
Yeah. You want to go first? Talk about Brewers Astros game 1? Because I got lots of good stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So you mentioned it before. Tobias got pulled from his last start when he pitched against the White Sox because he just wasn't throwing strikes like at all. He was just walking too many people. There was too many people on base for 2 innings of work.
Yep.
Let's just put it that way.
Yep.
This start, he goes 5 1/3, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 2 Ks, 0 walks.
Dude, he was out there throwing strikes.
He was, and it was so nice that I was like, Tobias Myers, I missed you. I missed you so much. This is a Tobias Myers that we used to have last year. He was really, really good. He talked about it after the game that him and William Contreras were getting together talking about just attacking the zone. And obviously it worked.
That's why I brought up Jake Bowers as far as attacking the zone. So finish Tobias Myers, and then let me jump in on Myers, and I'll let you keep going.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. I was going to go in years.
So he gave up a single, then retired 9 straight, gave up another single. He did not allow a runner to get to second base until the top of the 6th inning. That's how good Tobias Myers can be. In this game, he was locating his off-speed stuff for strikes too. That, to me, is a big step.
Yeah.
Locating his off-speed stuff for strikes, throwing sliders for strikes, curveballs, like that's throwing off-speed stuff for strikes is a big deal for me. And lastly, I just wanted to give his numbers. He threw 80 pitches. He threw 58 strikes.
Damn.
To 22 balls. That is fantastic.
Damn.
So much, 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 much better by Tobias Myers.
So now we have to talk about, the man of the year so far, maybe the MVP. We have to talk about Nick Mears coming in and absolutely
I got numbers. I got numbers.
Saving the day, dude. He comes in with the world's most porniest porn stash of all time. And goes out there and is just like, Zach, take a seat. And then he gets Jake Myers the ground out. And, I wish it would have been a packed house because he should have got a standing ovation for what he did. Honestly.
100%.
I was clapping in my house because I was like, that was well done, dude. That was fucking well done. That was nice.
Yeah, that was not a Monday in May type of like. He came in with the bases loaded and 1 out, and 6 pitches later, innings over.
Yeah, he literally just this is what I envision. Murph's just like, give me Nick Mears now. This shit needs to get over with. And Nick Mears is just like, say less, boss. Goes in there, fucks it up. Everybody, let's rock.
What did I say like 2 weeks ago? I think it was 2 weeks ago. I said that there was a game where like the tying run got to like the on deck circle or something like that, and like a 4-run game, and Murphy goes to Nick Mears, and I'm like, that's how you know Pat Murphy's not fucking around.
Yeah, dude. When he calls Nick Mears, we're not playing around no more, dude.
So I have some more advanced type numbers on Nick Mears as far as relievers go. He is 12th among relievers in batting average on balls in play. That's BABIP with a 156 batting average on balls in play. He is 14th in WAR for relievers. And the biggest thing, we've had this conversation, and it's kind of a big deal, and it's kind of an interesting way that I kind of determine the value that I place on relief pitchers. Now, it's not to say that closers are not valuable, but let's bring it to Nick Mears coming into a game in the top of the 6th inning with the bases loaded and a 2-run game with 1 out. And that's where we are with Nick Mears. He comes in, bases loaded, in a 2-run game with 1 out versus being in the 9th inning with nobody on base. What situation carries more pressure? In my mind, it's the bases loaded with 1 out in a 2-run game. So that's where a lot of this perception of relievers, because of the leverage, the pressure that's on them in some of these situations. So Nick Mears is currently 8th in entering leverage, game entering leverage is the Fangraphs advanced statistic. And the value that they place on it is 1.84. That's the leverage situation. I need to look into it and figure out exactly how it's calculated, but he's 8th. So he enters games with the eighth highest pressure, essentially.
Yeah. Eighth most pressure, yeah.
And when he exits, it goes from 1.84 to 0.96. So he is essentially cutting the leverage in half for the opponent. That's what Nick Mears is doing so far this year. So like I said, I'll look into it more on how Fangraphs calculates leverage. But just know it's about entering a game with the bases loaded, 1 out in a 2-run game versus entering the bottom of the 8th, and you're up by 3 with nobody on base. That's what leverage is. That's why, again, just another reason to get out of the box score. Like, I know you like to bring up holds. Sometimes those can be important as well. And saves are still important. You're still finishing a game, when teams are on their last-ditch effort.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the leverage aspect of it is important.
I agree.
So I want to make sure we continue to reiterate that.
Yeah. So back to some other guys here. Koenig, Anderson, and Piamps also did great jobs. Between them, 3 innings pitched, 3 hits, and 3 Ks. So nicely done there. And we need to celebrate a guy who got his first hit since April 2nd. Vinny Capra finally snaps the 0 for 36 streak.
Yeah.
I don't think people know how hard that had to be to remain positive every single day. Like, for him to have you never heard anything about him having a bad attitude or being a bad teammate during that stretch. So, honestly, I'm going to give him a lot of credit for that. This was also Yelly's 1,500th career game, so 1,500 career games for Yelly. And he smacks a big 413-foot home run in a 3-run third inning. Contreras
5 miles an hour off the bat.
Yeah, it was crushed.
He crushed it.
That was with 2 outs. Contreras also got a hit with 2 outs after a double. I am blanking who hit the double. Joey Ortiz, I believe. Joey, right?
Yes, Joey Ortiz. It was a hustle double actually that he had. I think it was like a blooper that he had, and then he turned and ran.
I literally didn't even write that down. I remembered watching it. So hell yeah, dude. My brain is still working. Let's go, baby. So like I said, Yelly and Contreras with 3 2-out RBIs. Bowers and Hoskins also added RBIs. Yelly got his 7th steal of the season, so he's up to 6 home runs, which is tied for the team lead. He also has 7 steals. If he just ups that batting average a little bit, he's going to be the Yelly that we all know and love. He's going to be worth every goddamn penny. So I don't want to hear nothing about that.
Yep. The other couple things that I had from this game, Yoel Piamps threw a scoreless 9th inning. His ERA went from 9.45, or is down to 9.45 after Monday's game. It's down 9.61 since April 12th. So we're talking like 3 weeks. He cut his ERA in half. That's the volatility of relief pitchers. Now, I'm going to say something when we get to today's game, but we'll have that conversation. Good to see the bottom of the 8th inning. The Brewers add some insurance that was able to sit Trevor McGill down. So McGill had pitched the third game of the Cubs series, was warming up for game 1 of the Astros series, and then they were able to sit him down because the Brewers added some insurance in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah.
That ended up being important because Tuesday, last night, they needed McGill again.
Yeah.
So you would have been potentially kicking around the idea of, do we pitch McGill for a 3rd day in a row, or do we try to get somebody else for a save? So that bottom of the 8th inning insurance, 2 runs that they scored were important. Yeah. And now we're going to talk about one last reliever, and it's Grant Anderson, because he's earned some leverage. We're talking about, we're going to talk about somebody when we get to today's game, but he's earned some leverage. He pitched the top of the 8th inning of this game with a 2-run lead and threw some nasty sweepers.
What's up, Taylor?
Nasty sweepers. He had the 3rd highest win probability added to the first game of the Astros series. Nick Mears was obviously number 1 at 21.2, and Christian Yelich was 2nd at 14.6. But 3rd was Grant Anderson at 7.2, so good for him. Taylor today. Yeah, no hat today. But, yeah, Grant Anderson has been a good pickup for the Brewers in the offseason. So let's go to last night's game, Game 2 against the Astros. I'm just going to go because I only have a few things, honestly.
Go ahead.
Brewers, first inning was great work. Bryce Terang had a really good at-bat. He had a double. William Contreras had a great at-bat. He drew an 11-pitch walk, and then Rhys Hoskins got down 1-2, got back to 2-2, and then hit a double off the left center wall. And the Astros bullpen was warming up already, and Jake texted me. He's like, are we going to chase the Astros starter in the first inning?
I was like,
damn, maybe. And then Jake Bauers hits a 1-2 pitch, hits a dinger, and the Astros starter had to throw 40 pitches in the first inning. Oh, yeah.
Happy birthday, my boy. Happy birthday. Are you 45 now?
45. He's younger than we are.
I know. He's probably 25, to be honest.
He's got to be like 28 or 29, I'm going to guess. Okay. Now, we need to talk about two things.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about Bunting or Chad Patrick first?
Let's talk about Bunting first.
Let's not. Let's just not.
Yeah, I wanted to get it out of the way. That's why I picked Bunting.
And it's not even the Brewers that we're going to have this conversation about Bunting. Because the top of the third inning, the Astros showed exactly why bunting is stupid. The only time you should be doing it is in a tie game in the bottom of the ninth or later games.
Nice call.
Nailed it. The ninth inning or later. That's the only time. When you need to score literally one run, that's the only time you should be bunting.
Okay.
Because the Astros in the top of the third, get a leadoff double, create an out on purpose with a bunt, and then try for another bunt, a squeeze bunt. Only the Brewers are allowed to do this, so don't try it. A squeeze bunt. I'm still joking, but we had this conversation last year. If you're bunting for hits, that's different. Sacrifice bunting is stupid.
Well, then to take the bat out of his hands, that doesn't make sense.
On top of it being Jose Altuve, who has like a career 340 batting average.
That's what struck me as like, why are you taking the bat out of his hands, dude?
And then he just pops it up.
Yep.
Into a double play.
Yep.
And you created two outs by sacrificing when you had a guy at second base with decent speed that probably scores on a single anyways.
Yeah.
Stop sacrifice bunting. I mean, do it against the Brewers. I'll take the outs. Thank you.
Yeah.
But making outs on purpose, I cannot fathom it. Again, we just had the conversation like 20 minutes ago that the great hitters get out 70% of the time. And you're talking about making that number higher on purpose.
Yeah.
Stop making outs on purpose. Again, it's different if you're bunting with the idea of getting a hit. Because then I view that more as hitting than bunting. So sacrifice bunting, throw it out unless you need to score one run in the bottom of the ninth or later in a game.
I'd say eighth is fine, but
even then, because Chicago Cubs, you texted me this morning about it, asking me if I saw how the Cubs lost. They got up 9 runs in the ninth inning after tying a game. So no, I don't even want to do it in the bottom of the eighth.
That's fair. That's fair.
Just a very, very, very recent example that works to.
Hope they lose again today.
But no, don't make outs on purpose. I hate it. That's that. Now, I can end on Chad Patrick from last night's game. He was great for 6 1/3 innings, and he's new. He's new to the Brewers. Obviously, he was very good in AAA last year. But this being his first year in the big leagues, we are finding his limits. In his last outing, it was 6 2/3 or 5 2/3 innings. Last night's outing, it was 6 1/3. So we're finding out that his limit is right around 6 innings. So this is something we are learning, and I'm positive that Chris Hook and Pat Murphy and Jim Henderson are having this conversation that when we get to the 5 2/3 mark, the 80 to 90 pitch mark with Chad Patrick, maybe we're a little more careful and we pull him a batter or two early instead of a batter or two too late. And that's how we got with Chad Patrick last night, with the single and a 2-out home run, and then Abner Uribe brought in for the 3rd out of the 7th inning last night. So give me your thoughts on last night's game.
Yeah, I thought Chad Patrick was phenomenal. He did a really nice job locating his pitches. Even the off-speed stuff, I thought he was tremendous. And then we bring in Uribe, and I wrote down, I was like, this guy's either got the biggest ego in MLB or he's got the biggest sack, dude, because he literally just goes up there and just fucking right down the middle. Right, he's going to throw it high. He's going to throw it away. He's going to throw it low. He's going to throw it right down the pipe. He's going to look you in your eyes and be like, I'm throwing a fastball, son of a bitch. He's going to throw the fastball. It's going to go 100 miles an hour. And you're not going to touch it. You're just not going to touch it. I don't know what to tell you. He had the top 5 pitching velocities in this game.
Nice.
All top 5.
I mean, he's top 3 in baseball among relievers with his fastball, so I believe it.
99.8 was the slowest pitch he threw yesterday. That's so dumb. I'm talking fastballs. Obviously, his slider is not as fast. But dude, I fucking love this guy, dude. I love this guy. If he can learn how to, and I understand being a competitor. I don't understand being a competitor at this kind of level. But if he can kind of rein in some of that emotion and use it, put it into the baseball, maybe get an extra mile per hour so he could throw some more FU fastballs.
I mean, I would take a tick up on his command, but
yeah, I mean, either one works for me, honestly. I just enjoy watching him just be like, I'm gonna throw 9 fastballs in a row. Good luck, guy.
Yeah, see if you can do anything but foul it off.
Yeah, he did get himself in a little bit of trouble though. Nick Mears again comes and saves the day in a third of an inning. I mean, that guy's the man, dude. He's the man.
Yeah, it makes me feel good.
Yeah, I wrote this down. I was like, I still can't believe Tyler called that shit. Honestly, you and Dominic Cotroneo are the only people on the planet that were like, yeah, we're gonna trade for this guy from Colorado, and they suck. Also, hi.
I was explaining that to Courtney the other day. I'm like I'm looking through. I went and looked through all of the teams. Yeah. And I'm looking for guys who have good stuff, but are in potentially bad environments or bad ballparks.
Yeah.
With not ideal numbers. And Nick Mears had like a 5.04 ERA with the Rockies. And I'm like, oh, he's pitching in Colorado, a place not known for development of players.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then I look at him like he's got a great fastball. Like he's got great rotation on his off-speed stuff. I'm like, but this guy in the pitching lab, like, hell yeah, let's trade for this guy.
Yeah.
And then I walk out of Twisters and Jake's texting me, holy shit, dude, they traded for Nick Mears. You fucking called that. And I'm like,
that was crazy. I couldn't believe that shit.
We need more people watching our show. We know ball. We know ball.
Yeah, that was a crazy.
And you won't catch us like whining and complaining when things don't go well. So now you have 2 reasons.
Yeah, I agree.
And we're funny sometimes. We'll giggle every time we have a 69 that comes up.
So I wanted to talk about McGill, and then I'm gonna give some credit here to some batters. I understand that the Brewers only scored all their runs in the first inning, but to McGill's credit, we were talking last night. Yes, we did use new intro, and I loved it. He showed me last night; it was amazing, and it was almost better the second time. Maybe because I knew we were going into a show, which is why I loved it a little bit more. I feel a little bit more confident now that I'm thinking about it again. But Turner McGill talked about it. He's been really good lately. His knuckle curve, and you had an interesting thought on it last night, but it's been elite lately. I was like, dude, he's either picking the right time to throw it or he's placing it perfectly, and it's working really well with his fastball. But he did have a strikeout at the end of the game. That was the game ender, and he showed a lot of emotion, and I love seeing that. So awesome by him. Now I got to give credit. In Contreras' walk, he had an 11-pitch walk in the first inning. He had 5 foul balls. So I wanted to point that out. It almost felt like that at bat he had last year when he had the big 3-run homer against the Astros. And that was also a game 2 of that series. You remember that last year in Houston? He cranked one. I thought it was going to go up to the train tracks, man. That shit was insanely hit. But wanted to give him credit for that. Also, you did already give credit to Hoskins. He also followed off a few pitches, got back to 2-2, which extended the inning. And then Jake Bauers on a 1-2 count got a 78-mile-per-hour curveball that he hit 416 feet. You know what the exit velocity on a 78-mile-per-hour curveball was?
Like 108?
It was 106.2, but that was going away from him, dude. It was 78 going away from him. He muscled it to 106.2 miles per hour. Pretty much
dead center, too.
Yeah. Like almost to the T, dead center.
It hit the batter's eye.
He crushed that. That is what you call locked in.
Yeah.
And that was all the offense the Brewers needed. Patrick was tremendous until he got into a little bit of trouble where he gave up a 3-run shot. But other than that, he was He was awesome last night.
So I pulled up the numbers on McGill. Now you teased this a little bit. The thing that I said to you when you brought up McGill's knuckle curve is I said it seems like he's almost getting a little bit extra bite on it than he's expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's almost to the point where he's throwing throwing a knuckle curve that he thinks is going to go below the strike zone, and then it ends up bouncing off the plate.
Yeah.
So I pulled it up. I pulled up his baseball savant. His knuckle curve, he does have a little extra on it. It's not a lot. It's very, very small. We're talking like 28. That would be hundredths of spin per minute. So the spin is rotations. It's RPM. Last year it was 2772. This year it's at 2800. But it's also down 1 mile per hour.
Ooh.
So it's spinning a small amount more and traveling about 1 mile an hour slower. That to me, that's probably enough to make it rip a little bit more.
I mean, think of how small they talk all the time, but how small of a window of error you have hitting a baseball. So even that little bit of change could make that pitch just devastating, from really good to devastating.
Yeah, I mean the horizontal movement, it's
Pretty much the same.
It's almost the same.
Mm-hmm.
Or the vertical is 1.6 inch difference.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty close. Pretty much the same.
Yeah. So it's fairly negligible, but it's, like I said, about 1 mile an hour slower and a slight uptick in spin.
Yeah.
So today's game, now I have essentially entirely only thought about pitching as far as today's game goes. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch it, so I had to kind of just recap it as the game ended. I caught the end of it, but I had some stuff going on at work today. So the couple things. I'm going to start with Quinn Priester because he had a pretty decent outing. He gave up an early 2-out run, but that should have been the only run that he gave up. He should have been limited to the 1 run. 2 unearned runs came off of one of the rare bad defensive plays by Caleb Durbin, who was playing second base today instead of third base for Bryce Terang. And then Vinny Capra made a nice play that should have been an out at home plate. And after that, another unearned run came off of a passed ball. So this is going to come from a place of I don't want to be the person who sounds like everybody else and just say Eric Haas sucks, because it's obviously not the case. He doesn't get to play catcher every single day. He's not an everyday catcher. He's the backup. And he's the backup for a reason. First of all, because William Contreras is arguably the best catcher in the game.
Yeah.
And he's a backup because of things like today. We need Eric Haas to be better than allowing a run to score on a pass ball and the tag that he put on. So I understand not allowing catchers to block home plate. But the throw that Capper made was early enough that he needs to act as a second baseman would, and Bill Schroeder brought this up on the broadcast, that the rules have made it so you can't block home plate. You have to kind of stand off to the side of it like they do at second base when a runner is attempting to steal. And like a second baseman, Eric Haas needs to make that catch and sweep, not catch the ball and reach.
Yeah.
Because tagging that chest allowed the amount of time that DeZenza needed to get his hand on home plate.
Yeah.
So you got to sweep so you get the arms before they can reach the base, the plate in this instant, instead of tagging the chest, because that gives them, 3 feet of reach before the tag is being applied.
Really shitty for Chad Patrick because he made the perfect pitch, and like you said, Capper made a nice play. Sorry. Yeah, Priester made the perfect pitch. And like you said, Capper made a good throw. The throw got there accurately and on time, and it was
that should have been an out.
Yeah, it sucks because Haas was the one that put us on the board with a home run, but at the same time, he also kind of cost us a couple of runs.
I would say 2, because then the third run that scored on a pass ball.
Yep.
And that's where the third run came in. And 3-1 is a much easier game to try to come back from than obviously 9-1, which is where I'm going to go with my second point. But even with the 3 runs, Quinn Priester pitched well enough for the Brewers to win, which is encouraging given the fact that we just talked about his last 2 outings were pretty rough.
Mm-hmm.
So this game was still encouraging for me from a Quinn Priester standpoint. He threw a few more sinkers out of the zone than I'd like, but other than that, I really don't have any complaints. He had the 3 walks, but that ties into what I was just saying about his sinkers and his location. He pitched 5 innings. He only gave up 3 hits. He did have the 3 walks, only gave up 1 earned run, and had 3 strikeouts. So if that's what we're talking about, if we're saying 5 innings, 3 hits, 3 walks, 3 Ks, and an earned run, I'll take that every single time from Quinn Priester.
Yeah.
Now, the Brewers lost this game 9-1, and my other big takeaway from this game is Elvin Rodriguez, unfortunately. Now, this might make you chuckle. This might make you sad. Elvin Rodriguez is who people think Yoel Payamps is.
Oof. That kind of hits me a little heavy, to be honest with you. I feel I'm going to be completely transparent. Makes me feel bad for Elvin Rodriguez. It also makes me feel better about Joel Payamps.
Honestly, we're at a position now where Payamps' ERA is now in the mid 9s, and Elvin Rodriguez is in the upper 8s. And the only thing keeping Elvin Rodriguez's ERA down is the fact that he started 3 games.
Yeah.
But in his 3 starts, he allowed 12 runs and 14 innings pitched. And if you add in today, his 3 1/3 that he pitched, he allowed 18 runs and 17 1/3 innings.
Jeepers.
That's what people think Yoel Payamps is doing.
Yeah.
Because he has 1 outing where he gives up 4 runs, and then it takes him a week to have enough innings pitched to water that back down.
Yeah.
So my thing with Elvin Rodriguez, and again, this is where it's tough because we are the optimistic show, but we also have to be the realistic show. And this is where you see us drawing a line is between Elvin Rodriguez and Yoel Payamps, because Yoel Payamps has the track record of having 2 really, really good reliever seasons and an inflated ERA early in a new season. That's why, like I said, Payamps isn't getting cut in April after having a 3.05 ERA last year. Elvin Rodriguez does not have the track record that Yoel Payamps does.
Nope.
And it's okay if Elvin Rodriguez doesn't work out. It's okay. Not every gem that you pick up out of a pile of sand is going to be a diamond in the rough. And if you are looking for who that diamond in the rough is this season, so far I would say it's Grant Anderson. So it's not, the Brewers aren't just reaching into sand and pulling up handfuls of diamonds. If there's a couple in there, great. This year, so far, Grant Anderson is one, and Elvin Rodriguez just hasn't been one.
Yep.
Now, where the Brewers are with their pitching, waiting for DL Hall, Ashby, Connor Thomas to be back to help the relief pitching. If you're going to continue using Elvin Rodriguez, it has to be 1 inning or less.
Yeah.
He's had 2 outings that he's pitched 1 inning or 1/3 of an inning. Those 2 outings, he was fine. So if you're going to use Elvin Rodriguez, it has to be 1 inning or less. And that's where I stand with today's game.
Yeah. So I'll just give my quick thoughts on Priester. He was tremendous through 4 innings. 0 walks. He was going up there, mowing them down, using his fastball really well. And then we get to the really shitty inning where all that stuff happened that we already talked about. And if to be completely honest with you, he kind of put himself in a situation where he walked the first guy after having 0 walks for the first 4 innings.
Yeah.
And I feel like his demeanor changed after he walked the guy. When I was watching it, I really honestly felt like his demeanor changed.
Okay.
Now, having all that stuff happen, and I'm going to talk about the Durbin play. That was a tough play for Durbin. Now, I know we get to watch Bryce Terang, and Bryce Terang makes shit look easy. Now, you want to know how an athlete is really, really good? When you're watching a game and you're going like, wow, I think I could do that. You're not doing that. I catch myself all the time when I'm watching football games, and especially when we used to have Rodgers, and Rodgers throws a pass, and it's just like perfectly in the breadbasket. And I'm just thinking like, bro, there's zero chance in hell that I'm dropping that pass with how perfect that was. I'm probably dropping the pass, okay?
Yeah. And that's the thing is like certain guys make it look easy, and
dude,
Durbin he's been really, really good at third base.
He's been very solid. This is not a slight on Durbin.
Yeah.
It's
they tried him in a new position.
Yeah, it's to say that this shit is harder than you think it is.
Yeah, especially to be a utility guy or a super utility guy. Like,
I mean, I couldn't even imagine trying to stand out there, and this guy's going to hit this hard ball that could break my face at over 100 miles per hour, and it can bounce any direction, and I have to react like that.
And you have a super fast guy running towards second base trying to beat you there, and you have to get the ball first.
Yeah, so
tried to grab the ball and just didn't.
It happened, and then the play at home, and things kind of snowballed in that inning, and that's just how it goes sometimes. But then Pena, to give up that 3-run homer to Pena, I was just kind of like, all right, because I thought after the home run, I was like, okay, maybe we can keep scratching claw. Still a ball game, 3-1. Yeah. Let's keep scratching the claw and get some people on base. Maybe we get some bloops here, steal some bases, cause some havoc like they like to do. Just didn't happen, man. And you know what? The Astros are also 500. For any Brewers fans that is concerned, Jesus. The Brewers are not. The Brewers are 500. The Astros are also 500. They have a day off tomorrow.
Yep.
Going into the weekend, I forget who we play first. Do we play?
The Brewers play the Rays on Friday through Sunday, and Pat Murphy did say after today's game that he anticipates that William Contreras, Bryce Terang, and Sal Frelick will be a quote full go. Friday.
Let's get it.
So Friday through Sunday at Tampa Bay, and then Monday through Wednesday at Cleveland. So we will have 6 games again next week. They
are playing at George Steinbrenner Field. So the Yankee spring training field is where they're going to be playing this 3-game series. Yeah. So it's going to be a little weird, but hopefully the Brewers can get some of that swag back, especially Jackson Churio. Maybe Vinny Capra can get some of that spring training
we
vibes
can
back.
Spring training, Vinny Capra.
Yeah, I would love that.
Time.
Yeah.
All righty, so that's what we will have next week. We'll have those 6 games as well as our Giannis isn't getting traded, but conversation. Like I said, those segments are going to be outlandishly lopsided for us to even consider trading the greatest player in Milwaukee Bucks franchise history. So tune in for that. That's going to be kind of a warm-up to our Bucks offseason coverage, and we will continue recapping all of the Brewers games. And other than that, we will see you guys next week. Thanks for the comments, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Men, if you're ready to reclaim your edge, listen up. I used to be held back by constant bathroom trips with multiple wake-ups during my sleep and looking for restrooms whenever I was out. Then I discovered Better Man. After just 2 months, I started experiencing fewer trips to the bathroom, less urge to go, and I even slept through some nights. I feel a noticeable boost in my overall well-being, even sexual stamina. It gives me the freedom and confidence to live life on my terms. Better Man is clinically tested and trusted by thousands of men over 25 years. Ready to take back control? Go to BeBetterNow.com to order your supply today. That's BeBetterNow.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed. Individual results may vary.